Welcome back to episode 8. I'm Allie, the host of this podcast. Today, I'm joined by 3 guests, Kitty, who you guys should know by now, and Megan and Karolina, who are new guests. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm 27 years old, cisgender female, she, her pronouns, and I'm aromatic, asexual.
My name is Karolina. I go by pronouns she, her. I'm from Poland. I'm not native English speaker, so excuse me if I will make any mistakes because I'm still learning. I'm demi-romantic ace, and I'm in a long-distance relationship with ace from States. I have no gender preference, so I would not describe myself pan-romantic, but more like demi-romantic and gender-blind.
Okay. Hello, I am Kitty, your neighborhood-friendly space ace and goth aunt. As you all know, I'm also an aromantic asexual, and I'm the old lady because I'm 34.
I didn't add that I'm 21 years old. I'm sorry, I'm a bit anxious, so
you're good.
Yeah,
okay,
you're good.
Thank you.
It's fine.
You're good, Shug.
Alright, so I just have a list of questions. I'm gonna read them off, and you guys can answer. First one. Does being aro, or being ace, or just being on the ace spec in general, affect your friendships?
For me, no.
To me, in my case, it was... So because I live in Poland, and Poland is extremely homophobic. I don't know if you heard what's going on here right now, but never mind.
No,
The point
I didn't
is...
know that.
Yeah, it's really shitty. There's even a bill in parliament right now that would ban all LGBT, that's called propaganda. So, for example, I'm like kind of ace activist here in Poland, and I was even on a ace billboards in Warsaw, in the capital. And if it's going to actually happen, this bill it's going to be law, then I will be in trouble because I will be called called homo terrorist. All the LGBT people will be deemed as terrorists. But I'm not going to go there. But the point is, it's not easy here for us. I was outing myself step by step, like with my friends. I would, on the beginning when I was 16, 17 years old, I did tell them that I'm ace and, I just not into the sexual stuff. And, step by step, I was just kind of telling them how, who I am. And actually very recently, like 1 year ago, I told them that, I'm ace and I have no gender preference, so I could actually date an ace girl as well. And it was kind of like a big thing for every of us. And I have one of my best friends since kindergarten. He's quite very conservative, and it's kind of toxic, to some extent, because I tell her that, hey, because she's very homophobic, so I'm like, hey, I could also date a girl, and she's like, that's your choice. I'm like, no, it's not. What?
It's not a choice, though. It's how we're wired. It's not
exactly.
a choice.
And, here in Poland, sometimes recently I've been feeling very depressed because I have to, explain people over and over, and things are getting even worse. And so some of my friends told me, like, Karolina, I will be with you no matter what. And it was very amazing, like, especially for this round.
Good.
But some people were like, okay, I could never date a girl, like, they were like kind of confused. But I kind of, with them, like, after some time, it just like were like whatever. It didn't really affect our friendship, but kind of make some things uncomfortable from time to time.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay. Yeah, see.
Is it because of the Orthodox Church? Because I know that's a large part of the reason why Russia is so about
in
it.
Poland is Catholic.
Yeah, the like Orthodox Catholic Church is like...
Yeah, exactly. This is a big part. Like, honestly, there's a new Minister of Education, and he actually wants to erase all the books we have on Polish literature classes. And he wants their Bible, John Paul II, because he was Polish Pope, and people are so obsessed with him. He's like, I don't know, like some god, here. It's like, you can see everywhere his statues. Like, even in my town, 20,000 people, there's, of course, one statue of John Paul II. So, you can be Catholic, you can be Orthodox, you can be whoever, but you don't have to input all your views on other people, right?
Yeah.
But here it doesn't work like this.
Exactly.
It doesn't work like this. It's, everything is always, when there's a debate, people always put their views, like if it's sin or not, or if it's whatever or not. it's just crazy, honestly. And here,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like, for example, when I tell my boyfriend Josh, what's going on, we both think that it's like kind of like it's getting very radical, like like in Saudi Arabia, because of Islam, it's very radical, policy. It's like the same, just like Catholic version here in Poland. So
Yeah, but yeah, I've noticed in like just observing the world and in like my research into it that Catholicism by itself can be pretty hardcore and unforgiving and very close-minded. And then Orthodox Catholicism that you tend to see in like Eastern Europe and Russia takes Catholic hardcoreism and kicks it up to 10,000. And I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, goodness, yeah.
Wow.
Catholic Church.
yeah, honestly, also it's kind of a like cultural problem of Eastern Europe, because, for example, Lithuania. This is like Lithuanians, they also have kind of similar bill. Like there's similar law to like in Poland. There's also, there's kind of like a ranking for EU, which shows like the most homophobic countries in Europe. And Lithuania, it's almost next to Poland. It's like a little better, but not good. And for example, a lot of Lithuanians, there are atheists, they are not believing people. There are like people from like Polish people who live there who are Catholic, and Russians who are Orthodox. But a lot of Lithuanians, they're not really that religious, and they still hate gays. So
it's
just crazy.
It's an inborn. It's like a remnant from when the countries were more religious, and some countries are slower at throwing off that shackle than others, especially in places where the church is still like in Poland and in Russia, where the church is still such a big looming figure and still has so much bearing on government and law, and it's just not a good situation.
Yeah, it's not. I can tell you from experience.
Yeah, I think we are also now wildly off topic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just had to rant.
You're good. Generally, it's me derailing the conversation, but this is a common every recording occurrence that we get way off the beaten path into a tangent.
I'm always
You're
worried
fine.
about not having enough content. Goes to show.
You are just fine.
Megan, you want to answer the question?
Yeah, that was about relationships, right?
Does it affect your friendships at all?
Like, my core group of friends, no. It took some time for them to, like, realize, like, I really had to educate them on what it was. Because so in the beginning, they were kind of making the, like, oh, like, you just haven't found the right person kind of stuff.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I know that was, like, they had, that wasn't anything malicious, though. Like, I knew they had good intentions for me, and they were saying that because they honestly just didn't understand. And so now, though, it's a lot better, though, and, like, they now know, like, why that kind of thing, like, isn't true for me. I have a really great friend group, and we're a really, like, active group of people, and so it usually is not a big deal. I have had some friendships where the person wanted, I thought of them as a friend, and then they told me they wanted to be more than that, and
like
that didn't all And then I have an ex who I broke up with once I understood that I was Arrow, and she did not take it very well, and she took it extremely personally, and because of that...
like you were saying that just to get rid of her, kind of thing.
Right, again, the ignorance factor came into play here, she didn't know what it was, and even then, she still thought it was because she did something, and it wasn't, it sounds so cliche, it's me, not you, but it really was,
right?
Because of that, we are still not friends, which hurts me because most of my exes I've been able to be friends with, maybe because we were just friends all along, I guess on the whole it doesn't, but there are few
exceptions to every rule,
right? Exactly. That I suppose is not surprising, and but it's still, kind of sucks because I really value my friendships, but I'm not going to change who I am or expect other people to change.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, next question. What would you say are the biggest differences between ace-ace relationships and ace-aloe relationships?
I have no clue. Because I never dated another ace. I didn't know that I was until 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I have dated, I dated an asexual female, also in her 20s. It actually was really fun. You know, like you may see, I've seen in like a lot of like Tinder, Bumble dating profiles where people are like, I just want someone to go on adventures with. And that's honestly what it was. Like,
really?
We kind of just did a lot, you know, we would explore, you know, pre-COVID, we would explore new restaurants and bars and stuff like that. And we went on a lot of trips. Unfortunately, that relationship ended because just like...
You discovered
life.
You were aromantic.
Yeah, I realized she was looking for bringing romance in, and then there were also like life circumstances that came into play as well. But I have to say, like, it really was like having an adventure buddy. That was really cool. And then my last relationship was someone who was an aloe, and I was, you know, I went into this thinking that this would be a friends with benefit situation, and of course, you know, that never, shocker.
That never works out. Nope.
Yeah, that's when I really realized that I was aro, because then I was in a relationship with someone who wanted all the things that I didn't, and yeah, it was... we clicked really well. We had a lot of things in common. I'm pretty sex neutral.
Same.
Yeah, so like I can take it or leave it.
I'm not repulsed by it. It's just a like on it. They've heard this. Our listeners and Allie has heard this story.
Yes.
Legitimately, when I lost my virginity, I had never understood why all my other friends were like sex obsessed weirdos. When I finally lose my virginity at 19, honest to God, the first thought that ran through my head was, okay, that was nice, but so is reading a book or playing a video game. Like, I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can very much relate to that. I mean, like, for me, sex is like an adrenaline rush, but that's like the biggest thing I get out of it. I think the biggest thing for me in terms of dating another asexual and then dating an aloe is that the expectations of the relationship, like, you don't notice it until they're there, but like just approaching, you know, you have different expectations of like, you know, a parent versus like a friend versus like a teacher. And it all has to do with how much you invest into the relationship, how often you see them, like, and you don't realize like how much, like, they're invisible, but you don't realize what a force they can be and how much they can really shape your relationship. In terms of the expectations, these unseen, often not communicated enough about, or expectations, that really can weigh on you. And it's a really sucky feeling when you just know that you are inherently not living up to someone else's expectations. Or that you're trying to project your expectations onto someone else, but you just know that they're just not getting it. And
either that, or you end up in the boat that I was in, because I'm very much a people pleaser, and I knew for a fact there would be certain expectations, and I would do my best to fulfill those expectations at the detriment of myself.
Oh my god, yeah, people pleaser should just be like my middle name sometimes, but I'm really trying to work on that.
For example, I'm kind of in a very different situation because I've never dated aloe. I was just in an ace relationship, and I kind of came to this conclusion that I would never be happy with someone who's not asexual, because, you know, when I started like to kind of come to terms with my asexuality, I knew that I cannot date a straight guy. I don't like them because I'm kind of more attracted, like, even friendship-wise, to more feminine people, and aesthetical way as well. And then when I kind of get bravery to go to some queer platform. And then when I talked with some queer girls, allo girls, when we're texting, and when it came to the moment when I said I'm ace, they always ghosted me. And I felt there's no hope. And then I just kind of connected with other ace people, and I just felt, I think, in my perspective, that perspective, like how you view the world, is very important. And it kind of bonds people, like, you know, like even when we're talking right now, we just kind of get each other, and that's very cool feeling. So I would kind of advise other aces to kind of date people who are ace as well, or just understand you at least very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while, I thought I was bisexual. And that was actually kind of fun, because I was like, I don't have any expectations. Like, I don't care if you're a boy or a girl, like, whatever. Yeah. And then I think that's like, and now I'm realizing, like, that's actually a common thing for a lot of aces who think that they're... Yeah, and so, like, that was a big aha moment. But I think even with, like, I've been in a relationship with an allo male and an allo female, and even those expectations are different as well, not just sexually, but also, like, emotionally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because dating a male...
They're less likely to be emotionally open and be like, hey, I need you in an emotional sense, whereas women are very much likely to put less of a focus on...
With a female?
Well, what do you mean by easier?
In, like, the emotional sense.
No. Well, for me, I'm not a very emotionally deep person.
Outgoing.
Like, it's difficult for me to be, like, vulnerable, I suppose. So I feel like my female exes and my female friends, they, like, want me to emotionally invest in my relationship, like the equivalent of giving up, like, my newborn child or something. And I'm like, oh my god, like, I'm drained. Like, what do you want from me? And with a guy, it's more like, can we bond? Do we have these similar interests? Like, do we just vibe together? Like, it doesn't get as deep, but there does need to be... But there does need to be this companionship where you can just, like, banter off each other, like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that either one, like, both have its pros and cons. Both are difficult. Like, I don't really have a preference either. I mean, I identify as female, so I guess it is a little easier to get along with females because I do speak that language more, and also I just think boys are just straight up stupid sometimes. But yeah, so it's complicated.
I mean, it's really hard to make general statements about relationships. It's because it's
facts
so
of the
nuanced.
Universe here. The facts of life. The Earth is round. The sun is bright. Men tend to have square brain moments more than women. Especially when it comes to feelings.
I guess the most general thing I can say about all what I've learned about relationships is that basically a relationship is give and take. Whether it's emotions, whether it's sex, whether it's, whatever. I just had to take a good, long, hard look at myself and be like, what am I willing to put into this relationship?
Next question, because we've gone through 2 questions and it's been 20 minutes.
Sorry.
You're good.
No, you're good. Just a quick little time check. What are the downsides to an ace-ace relationship?
So maybe I will start because
go ahead.
I'm currently in a 1, and the biggest disadvantage of those kind of relationships, I think, it's distance, because it's really hard to find other aces in your local area. And with me, it's even more extreme because my boyfriend lives in States. I live in Poland, and we haven't seen each other in person since January. We haven't seen each other basically almost a year right now.
Oh,
and it's really depressing.
Yeah, I've been in that boat twice, actually. The long distance relationship boat, and it's never fun.
Yeah, I mean, we love each other very much, and we have plans for the future and everything. Basically, I think he's my soulmate. He's like, I don't know, he's just like this perfect person in like what you could. I could never expect that when I was younger. He's very feminine, very adorable. and everything. And it just
Good.
we are just, I don't know, perfect together, like how we feel right now. So we're not going to break up because of this. But it's really hard. I just can't take it sometimes. I just feel like dying inside sometimes because, you know.
Oh,
it
yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and there's no, also, we don't know when there will be a vaccine and when the borders will be open again. Yeah, that sucks a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Does.
honey.
Yeah, I just think the biggest problem is like finding other A's in the first place.
Yeah.
It does limit your pool of choices by a lot.
Just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Move on to the next one. Is there less of a worry of cheating among ace-ace relationships?
It depends on, I would think it would depend on what you classify as cheating. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I would probably be more, if I were still in like the relationship sphere, I think I would probably be more inclined to forgive my partner for like going out and hiring a sex worker to just get their rocks off, and it was, no emotional connection, no nothing. Whereas if I find out you've been sweet talking this person and you have a significant bond with them, like there are feelings involved.
So, like, emotional cheating?
Yes, that would actually tick me off more than just, oh, this was a one-time thing and it meant absolutely nothing. Like, they both suck, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But one is gonna hurt a hell of a lot worse because it's like, wow, not only did you go out and just like give what's supposed to be for me, your significant other, to somebody else, but then you basically, you're coming to me and telling me you love me and you want to spend the rest of your life with me and all the good romantic type stuff and all the feels, and you're also giving those to this person over here.
Yeah.
And I would think that that would still be a thing in an ace-ace relationship. The sex part is like out the window.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was referring to.
I would think that, like, emotional cheating where, you've got that very singular type of significant emotional bond with someone, I would think that, depending on the person, it might be just as prevalent or likely for them to, I don't know, though, because I've never been in one.
So, like, if they do cheat, it's going to be at a greater extent. It's gonna hurt more.
Yeah, it's very definitely, I would think, going to be that on that emotional scale.
Yeah, I think overall there's no difference if it comes to cheating in ace-ace or ace-ally relationship. It just depends on the couple.
Yeah, it depends on the person and the people and their morality. Because
it's very hard to be general about something like this.
Yeah, I'm very much the sort of person that I would never, if I am that unhappy with somebody or I'm that much more attracted to someone other than my partner, I'll just break up with you.
I don't understand the concept of cheating personally. Just
nope, me neither. It's like,
why do this? Cause so much pain. Next question. When meeting a romantic interest, do you feel the need to tell them about your asexuality right away?
Well, to me, it's not even if it comes to romantic interests, because, well, I didn't have any except the one, like, I'm with. But always when I basically just become to bond with other person, just like friends-wise, I feel need to tell them because it's part of my identity. Plus, recently also was an ace activist here in Poland, so I think it's like a big part of my life right now, so I should just tell people because, well, this is kind of me, so you should know.
I don't really know in terms of like romantic interest, specifically being an aromantic asexual. Yeah. But I definitely do go out of my way to let people know. Like, especially if I'm in like a group setting, I generally make it pretty clear because I have good peripheral vision and I can tell when there are people in the group that are checking me out, and I'm just like immediately out the gate, nope, you can put that in the bag. That ain't happening.
I wish I had that ability because I'm very clueless.
I think I am quite clueless as well.
Yeah, I'm so clueless. It's not even funny, but so I guess when I've had instances where people have come up to me and they've had to make it very, very clear, just ask outright if they're interested. Usually I'd be more concerned about them knowing that I'm aro because I think that sets more of a stage in terms of the expectations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like, there has to be like some tinge of like romance or something there, you know?
Generally.
And so I just have to be straight up like, you're not, like, you think I'm gonna turn all starry-eyed and want you to bring me flowers? Like, you're not gonna get that. So
you're not gonna get anything but friendship out of me.
yeah. So honestly, I do have to make the arrow clear first, because I feel like the romantic gestures come first before, or they at least like pass, they use romantic gestures as like a test to see if you're interested in it becoming sexual. So honestly, for me, if the arrow usually stops them.
Yeah.
In terms of most aloes. Well, I really haven't met any other arrows in real life, so I don't really know.
Me neither.
Yeah, I only know aloes or other asexuals, so usually it's the arrowness that causes the problems right first before aceness. But saying that I'm arrow ace, I guess that does help. So I guess
that's how I've ordered it. I just always put the two together, and it's like, no. And when I say I've got good peripheral for noticing when people are checking me out, I mean, I don't necessarily mean on an emotional, I mean, like, legitimately, I can see you out of the corner of your eye giving my body the once over with your eyeballs. I'm not much better at picking up on the emotional once over either.
Yeah, even just make it very obvious.
When they're being very obvious and they are legitimately checking me out with their eyeballs, it's like, I see you doing that off to the side, and no.
And I'm also at the point where I've been in enough relationships where, like, I'm gonna tell you right away that I'm arrow ace and I'm done with it. Like, I'm, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to not say it up front, in my opinion, honestly.
Yeah.
Could you see yourself? Next question. Could you see yourself having a long-term relationship with an aloe?
Nope. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and it sucks.
Yeah, I have to agree with Kitty.
Wow. There's no across the board right away.
To be fair, the guys that I dated, barring one, and that was because we were very young and he didn't really know any better, but the majority of the others were a-holes.
Oh, I'm
Two
I'm
of
sorry
which
to hear
did
that,
not
Kitty.
like to hear the word no.
That's why even I never started to date any of them, because I was just like, screw you, I'm not going to go out with you. So yeah, I think it's just like a hard question, because I think they might be people who have like kind of low libido, and you could maybe, cooperate in that sense. But and like, I think in long term, if you won't be in open relationship, or like person will be very monogamous and only attracted to you, I think that can make some things complicated. So yeah, I think it depends. But I would be like, like for all aces, there, like, warning sign, like, talk it over before you're going, before altar, just talk it over first.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of related. Would you recommend that aces try to date aloes at all?
Probably not on general principle, just because there's that very definite clash of one side of this equation doesn't really have a sex drive and sexual urges to speak of. The other side very much does. So these two things are, generally speaking, going to be kind of like oil and water, unless you find an aloe with a very, very low sex drive, Now, granted, there are exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying, like, no ace should ever try to date any aloe ever because it's gonna go terribly, because that's not factually true. There very much are aces who make it work with aloes, and both people are perfectly happy and healthy and everything's grand. I don't think that's the norm, though. Like, I think that's probably kind of an outlier situation. I would think that more often than not, an ace of any variety is more likely to find long-term sustainable happiness with another ace.
Unless, I would say, if someone is kind of in the gray spectrum of asexuality, then I think they have some chance, right? But other than that, well, I would just, like I said before, just think it over first.
Or if there was polygamy, like a
polyamorous relationship, an open relationship, if you're the type of person that's cool with that. I never was. I do not like to share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you be okay with being single for life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am perfectly happy to be that eccentric, arrow ace, non-binary chick who lives on the corner in my neighborhood, has all the cats, and just kind of is generally pleasant to the neighbors. I have more than made peace with the fact that I'm gonna be like every eccentric old spinster aunt from a rom-com ever, and I'm cool with that.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy to be single, personally. Although I don't think I could imagine my life without my different friendships.
Oh yeah.
And the different
friendships and relationships.
Yeah,
Romantic relationships are different.
and I'm plugged into different communities, both virtually and in real life, and both of those. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I have a
Exactly.
roommate who's my best friend. So those, I'm very happy being single, but I don't like in terms of like romantically, but
Nope.
I definitely want to have communities and friendships for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like for me now, it will be hard to imagine being single as I'm in relationship right now. But before I met my boyfriend, I was completely fine with it. I kind of felt like it would be cool to have this one special friend that will be always there for you because, here in Poland, especially, I always mention Poland, but usually it's like this, like friends getting married, have kids and all of that. And I kind of were afraid that I will be lonely in the future because, they'll have their own life and, people kind of live separately because of it here. Like very traditional way. And I just want to have this like buddy who will be there for me. Yeah. So I would say the exact same thing. Maybe because, if I lived where you lived, then I would also have the exact same attitude to it. I feel like I would have.
Yeah, but you're in a very unique and kind of specific situation where the place you live is so antagonistic to anyone who is not cisgendered, heterosexual, the quote-unquote norm.
Yeah, it's very lonely. So especially I think in a place like this when you have just like this person who is there with you, it's very like it's like you need the support here, at least like here. So
it did take me some time to come to this conclusion though, because I do enjoy being around other people and companionship, and also like the fact that I just believed in the life script of married kids, white picket fence. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying but I'm just saying that I think it is wrong that we're kind of brainwashed with it and believing that it's the only option, like so hard to the point where I had to disentangle my true feelings with society's expectations for years before I realized who I am. So it's interesting.
It's like that go to college thing.
Yeah. If you don't go to college, you'll never be successful or happy or have a good job. And
that's not true. There's many proofs of that being untrue.
But it still gets rammed down the throat of the youth.
I say this as someone who wants to go to college, so...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it if you want to go, but it's not an absolute hardcore necessity.
People that go and that really don't want to, don't really connect with that kind of situation. They end up dropping out, and it's just a lot of misery that could have been avoided.
Yeah, and now they're in the hole for however much money.
Yeah.
At least in our country. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
It is. How have potential partners, or existing partners at the time, reacted to telling them about being ace?
So the last partner I had, my asexualness was like one of many reasons why we split up. We broke up amicably. He's one of the few that I'm still on good terms with. But his overall reaction to it was just kind of like, yeah. Essentially, when he and I split up, I was like, look, here's what it is. You have all these goals and ambitions and things that you want to do with your life. Me, with my chronic pain, I can only be a passive support. I cannot actively support you, and I'm physically not able to. I'm not able to run all over the globe and, visit all these remote, fantastical locations and travel a whole lot and, go to work in because he kind of wants to be an entrepreneur and start up a business of his own. And I'm like, I physically can't be there with you and work a 9-to-5 job. I can basically be in the stands cheering for you, but I'm not going to be able to be like right beside you helping you do it with my chronic pain. Not to mention, I have recently discovered that in all truth, I am far happier when I am just me by myself and I'm not in a romantic relationship. You deserve to have someone who can actively support you and actively go after these things that you want to do, as opposed to someone who's just going to kind of be on the sidelines going, yay, go team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We had kind of grown apart over, I mean, we were together for like almost 5+ years, and we had just kind of grown apart over time, and so his reaction to it overall was just kind of like, yeah, you're right, yeah. Like, he knew it was done and dead and had been for a while. I knew it was done and dead and had been for a while, so his reaction was just kind of like, yeah.
So he just didn't care too much about that.
As far as opening a relationship up with that, I have no clue. That's where these two come in handy.
Yep.
So, the guy that I dated, it was because of him that I discovered that I was asexual, because he was allosexual, and I knew that things weren't working, and it was my own Googling, that, like, made me stumble upon asexuality. Honestly, he didn't take it, he took it pretty well. It was one of the many factors it was one of the many things in our relationship, actually, where we didn't agree on something. Like, we were living in a place where I wanted to stay, but he didn't see himself long term. I was going in one direction for work, and he was going in another. So the differences in sex just kind of was just it wasn't maybe as big of a deal. And then I dated a female after the asexual female after him, and she was the one who came up to me and was like, hi, I'm asexual, but like I'm romantically interested in you. And that's because of her, that's how I realized I was aro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very, I kind of recommend dating because it teaches you a lot about yourself, if anything. I suppose it was only my most previous relationship which is funny because that's the one where I was kind of upfront at the start about how I was sex neutral but aromantic, that she took it personally, and perhaps that's just because of her personality. Or maybe because she is such a romantic person, like that is like that's just part of her personality, because she took it so personally and she was such a grand romance person, and I didn't realize really either of those things going into it. So I think it's, it definitely depends on the person. So I would recommend, when you're telling someone, whether you're telling them that you're asexual or that you're aromantic, that you tell them that it's you, not them. As cliche as that sounds, but try your best to just make sure they understand it's not personal, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she was asking me, like, what did I do? Like, how did I mess up? Like, what did I go wrong? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you you're being wrong for being you.
It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with I'm not wired the same way you are. I don't want the same things you do. It's not a thing you can fix, my dear.
It's no one's fault.
Right,
it's no one's fault, and you can't fix it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think in this day and age, people kind of struggle with that, because...
Your powerlessness is such a big fear.
Yeah, and to an extent, we are kind of snowflakes, so...
we are all snowflakes.
We just work on it as best as we can, right? So that's all we can do. So, that's all.
Yeah, so... I would just add that I was actually never in this kind of situation because I was looking for aces specifically just like as friends or maybe something more. But when I tried to connect with queer community, I was quite disappointed because I was hoping that, screw all those straight guys, right? I don't care about them. So I even didn't have to talk too much with any of them, so whatever. But I was very sad when I were texting with some homosexual and bisexual girl, they just all ghosted me when I texted that I'm ace, because like they were, oh, I'm bi, oh, I'm les, and I was like, oh, I'm ace, and then I never got answer later, and it happened like 6 times, and I was like, so I'm actually alone in this world.
Oh.
And then I found this community, and I started to feel better, but that was the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah, this community is really, really nice.
Unfortunately, there are currently a large portion of allosexual people in the world that the minute it pops up that sex is not on the table, and sometimes they don't even ask. Like, their understanding of what the asexual spectrum is so limited, they're just like, oh, well, if they're asexual, they're not going to want to have sex at all, ever, the end. And the minute they're confronted with that very narrow definition of it, they're like, nope.
Yeah, and I was really disappointed, especially as it was, LGBTQ plus community, and even they didn't get me, so it was very upsetting in the sense, because I don't blame straight guys, like, screw them, especially Polish straight guys, please, whatever, but,
yeah,
like, I was really sad. It was like 18 years old back then, it was 4 years ago, and so yeah, now it's started to change. Like, people even, who are somewhere in the queer spectrum, they, know what being ace mean, and they are not discriminating because, we have to keep together. But yeah, it was disappointing.
For aces that want to date other aces, what is the best way to meet these people? As dating sites like Tinder and Bumble tend to become like hookup sites.
So maybe I'll answer this question as I'm having a
you're the one that dates.
Yeah, I would say that all those Tinders and stuff like that, I don't use them. I think it's really hard to find some aces there. I think, like in Poland, for example, we have ace Facebook group, and you can connect with some people there. I met my boyfriend Josh on Facebook, and it was very funny because, I'm studying anthropology, and I'm very interested with cultures and all of the stuff. So it was very cool that I could meet other aces, so there will be, nothing maybe too creepy or, like with people like in the internet. Like, we have something in common, so we are a community, so I can talk to them and I can get something, learn something new about other cultures, language, because, my language is still not perfect, so I can, practice it and stuff like that. And that's how I met my love interest. I would advise like using sites for aces or queer people who like, but not like the gatekeeper community, but like, inclusive one. I think that's the best option. I think Tinder, you might just find, I don't know how it works there, but here it's like you feel like worse than others. You feel like something is missing. You feel like you need to be a pair. Like, at least I always feel like I'm kind of forced when I'm on a place like this. Like, I don't fit here. So bye.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just like I would say just look for ace community and maybe then try something there. Here also, like recently, there's some ace groups meetings when we met in different cities and just talk to each other, and we'll become friends and stuff like that. So yeah, I would advise something like this.
Okay. So like non-mainstream options.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
Not really. Maybe like I said, like some Facebook groups or like some portals for like queer or aces. That's cool. But other than that, not really.
Mainstream dating apps, I don't think you're gonna have much luck.
Yeah. Overall, not only for aces. I think it's also a complicated issue even for owls, using apps like this. And bigger problem.
There are some like specific ace dating apps out there, at least in the US.
Are there?
I've seen some of them. Yeah, ace app.
Yeah.
Literally what it's called.
Okay.
But also I've seen like screenshots of these people like messaging, and somehow they missed the memo, and
yeah,
still asking for like sugar daddies and all this really odd stuff that probably you missed the point.
Yeah, you're on the wrong app, bud. I'm definitely not the person to ask about dating apps, considering my hand puppet dragon. I made him a Tinder account just for lols.
How did that go?
I haven't checked on it in a while, but the response to Snuff being on Tinder was actually pretty positive. I mostly got, when I pay attention to it, I mostly get a lot of, oh my god, he's so cute.
Aw, that's
and
cute.
I'm just like, thank you, you have a good day, and then like we never talk again.
Oh yeah. I think also, like, not using, like, Tinder, like, for dating, I think it's also important for, like, even mental health, like, for me, at least, because, you know, I kind of live in my information bubble, and I just don't want to put myself there, so I don't feel like I'm kind of, you know, something is missing in me, right? So I think if you feel confident in yourself, then go for it, you know, maybe actually it will be cool for you, but if you kind of feel like you might start to have this feeling that
a complex.
A complex, exactly. What's going for the word? Then I think just be careful and don't use apps like this then, because you might feel like, you know, like now we're talking with, you know, all aces and we feel very comfortable. In a place like this, we will feel the opposite way.
Yeah. It might be depressing.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. What is the best part about an ace-ace relationship?
I think to me, the biggest part is like we really get each other. For example, my boyfriend, his family is from Trinidad, and it's also a very homophobic place. And he was even sent there because they thought he's gay, and they closed him in a room for a couple weeks without anything.
Oh my God.
They took all, because he likes to use like some makeup and stuff. So they just took all those stuff away from him and just closed him there. And also kind of live in this homophobic society, even though my family is pretty different, but still. And we get each other in the sense, like in this way. And also we just have the same perspective, you know, we are both ace, we're both attracted to other people. And it just like, we're the special friends with each other, because I have, you know, obviously I have friends here. And we get each other on many different levels, but I think I was always missing this one friend who would just get me on all those things in life. So I think that's the biggest point, like the biggest thing in ace relationship, like just completely understand each other, because I know there's kind of this romanticism around, you know, like opposite people and how they can be like this cool couple, you know, like how is in English, you know, when there's opposites, they connect or something. Okay, I think you get what I mean. And I think in reality, it's actually opposite. You know, people who are more similar, probably they're going to last longer with each other. So, yeah.
They can. Depends on the type of personality in some regards. Like, sometimes if you're too similar to each other and you have, say, the type of personality that I have, get two people with my personality in the same room for a long period of time, and eventually we will want to kill each other. I've tested the theory.
Yeah, that's also true. But maybe not personality wise, but maybe like the way you view the world, kind of like, you know, like having like having the same political views, philosophical views.
My mother and I are
basically
the same person, and because we share a lot of the same views, we haven't killed each other. But when you get somebody who's like me, in the, you know, very headstrong, very quote-unquote dominant personality, very opinionated, and we have diametrically opposed views, it's give it about half hour, 45 minutes, and it's like, somebody gonna die.
I agree with a lot of what Karolina said. The having similar expectations and perspective is wonderful, because it's something that you just vibe with, and you don't really have to.
You don't gotta think about it too much.
You know, communication is still absolutely important. You know, to ensure you do have those expectations and perspective, but you usually pretty much do, and it's just nice to have, like, I guess, non-sexual chemistry that way.
That's totally legit.
I don't know how to describe it except like using cliche words like vibe and chemistry like that, but
it's a good way to describe it, though. You just get along.
You describe it perfectly.
If the shoe fits.
Yeah, there you go.
It, Thank you for listening. If you would like to see behind the scenes stuff or be a guest on this podcast, you can get in touch with us on Instagram at knightsofknope and Reddit /knightsofknope. You can also email us at acasualexchange@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. Send us any comments, concerns, or questions. That's all from us today, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Also, special thank you to our guest.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, you're good.
It was adorable.
A Casual Exchange was created by the Knights of Nope. Producing and editing credits go to Dana. This podcast is hosted by Allie. Music credits are in the description.